guys. Welcome back to It's Complicated, CAW, with your host, Beardy McGee and Skinny McHandsome Face.
Wow.
Here we are. You guess who's who. Here we are back again to announce another comic. But today we're what are we doing today, Brandon?
We got another.
We're hanging out.
Yeah,
we do. We got another one.
We're hanging out, being dudes, and I got a good question, I think, for you.
I don't know. Have you ever seen my Deadpool head behind me?
No, I've never noticed that.
Yeah, it was a Christmas gift because my wife knows that I'm a giant toddler.
I almost needed to put my readers on, and I wear contacts. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, hold on. There, I got my blue lights on now. Isn't that attractive?
Has
Isn't that
anybody
great?
ever told you when you do that, you look like a musician? I don't know how I got that out, but a musician named Teddy Swims.
No.
Have you ever seen that guy or heard him?
I've not, but I will look up Teddy Swims.
I think it's Lose Control or Lost Control. You need to jam that. But if you can sing like him, you're in the wrong career field, I'll tell you that. Because I think you'll fall in love with his voice. I did, for sure. Anyway, that's not why we're here today. I want to ask you something, and I've got my own personal feelings on this, and that's what we're going to do is we're going to share those feelings. How do you feel about social media influencers becoming comedians? Words are hard today. I'm going to repeat that. How do you feel about social media influencers becoming comedians? Comedians, in air quotes.
Ooh, that's a slippery slope for me. Here's the thing. If you have an actual act and you are funny and you are able to translate what you do onto the stage, who am I to stand in your way? I might find you very funny, and I might just have to go, you're not for me.
Yeah.
I know that I've seen some social media comedians where they get asked to go to festivals and then they eat an entire bag of dinguses because they don't have the material.
Right.
And then they get mad at the audience, and that's a bummer because that gives stand-up comedy a bad name.
Yeah.
But I know
that happened like a couple of years ago at the Just for Laughs festival or something like that. Is that kind of what you're alluding to? Yeah.
Yep.
Without throwing out there.
Yep, it made it even angered Chris Redd, who is one of the, by all accounts, nicest human beings. He's a friend of a friend, and so I asked him, I was like, "That's not his normal," but he's like, "No, Chris is like chill as they come."
Believe it or not, ultimately, when I wrote that question tonight, I was thinking specifically about that instance and that particular performer, and then I started kind of going down a rabbit hole, like. I would be interested in seeing Ed Bassmaster do stand-up. I'd like to see what his show looks like. But there are others, and I don't know what it looks like. I know he's super funny, but that's video editing. Like, you can't edit a live comedy show on the spot. So I'd be curious to see that. And then there are others that are TikTok, like they just have a huge following on TikTok. And I see them do stand-up, and I'm like, that did not translate well.
Right. I'll tell you, guys like the Copenhagen Bandit, not for nothing. Big following on social media, and it translates really well to the stage. He's very charismatic. He's got a good character that he follows. Like there's no breaking in that character. He does a really good job. Guys like, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing. I've not seen him live, and I haven't seen any of his live clips, but like Ginger Billy.
Yeah.
The shirtless ripped dude in jorts with a big red beard. I could see that working really well on stage because I bet he's got 1,001 stories, and if he doesn't, once he gets in that character, really gets into... Because I'm sure what he's doing is just an amplified version of himself.
100%. That's why it's so good. He's definitely one, not to step on you, but he's definitely one. He played at the Castle Theater in Bloomington I don't know if I was home or not. I think maybe we had a comedy show that weekend, but I was super interested in going to check that out. I think he is genuinely funny, but you are right. That's who he is.
Yeah. Well, and what, especially once you take the caricature of yourself and then twist it just up a notch, you're in character and you can come up with stuff on the fly off the top of your head. I know, I'll find just hanging out, I'll get into character. My friends used to goad me on where I'd find like some character and then I would just go, and they'd let me go until I was tired, and it I don't do that on stage. I have some friends that are disappointed that I don't, but I'm also like, that stuff's just that's all organic.
Yeah.
We just, we do that, but there's some people that think, oh, well, because I've got 500,000 likes on TikTok, now I should go stand behind a microphone. Well, if you've got an act, if you've got, can you do a solid 5 minutes? That's where it all starts.
Mm-hmm.
Is 3 to 5 minutes of solid material with jokes.
And that may not sound like much to anybody that listens or watches this, but can you imagine standing up on a stage with 80 to 100 or more people with their beady eyes looking at you, and they expect a delivery, and you're up there for 5 minutes and you have to deliver something that makes them laugh or makes them feel good about themselves?
Some of the best advice that I can give new comics, first is quit. Just quit. Don't try anymore. But no, is if you're at an open mic and they give you 5 minutes and you finish at 3, finish. Be done. Stop. Don't try unless you are very good at improv. Just stop. Just quit at the 3 minutes, because even getting up to 3 minutes is hard.
Yeah.
It's a difficult task. But I'm all about, I both love and hate competition. Because good competition makes you work harder.
Yeah.
And bad competition that gets stage time that you maybe that is infuriating.
Sure.
It's a double-edged sword. But
yeah. So
if they sell tickets and keep clubs open, that's who am I to argue?
Sure. So if we shift gears and we look at this from a musician perspective when it comes to social media influencers, two huge artists that just blew up out of nowhere that I can think of. One, obviously everybody knows right now, is Oliver Anthony. That guy, a month and a half ago, nobody knew who the heck he was, and he just came out of nowhere. And he had never actually played a live show. I think he just did a lot of recording on his own. And the first show that he did, Jamie Johnson, the guy who sings In Color, showed up at this looked like a kind of a hole-in-the-wall style bar. No disrespect, I love those styles. But anyway, like, Jamie Johnson showed up there to play with Oliver Anthony, and I'm like, this is the guy's first show. And then this weekend, not to dive too much into the Blue Ridge Rock Festival chaos, I don't know if you've heard much of it, but it was a whole, as they put it, shit show, where it actually the last 2 days got canceled due to weather, and it wasn't weather related. But anyway, Oliver Anthony got asked to play there, and now he's playing at Louder Than Life, which is another hard rock and metal festival, next weekend in Louisville, Kentucky. And those are his first shows. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
But he's just a genuine individual, and people are connecting with him. He's almost like that guy that people can rally behind and be like, yeah, this is how we all feel, and he's saying it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I can also, from a musician from those point of view, you can look at that and be like, sure, he's good, but man, so's a lot of people that are. I mean, look at Billy Joe Shaver.
Yeah.
Billy Joe Shaver was a staple of Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
Was a staple of the outlaw scene, and when you say that name, most people look at you and go, "Who?"
Sure.
No, this guy. He should have been Well, Well, he's no Luke Bryan. I will stab you in the neck.
Yeah.
Is what I'll do.
Did he go to Riverton? I know that Jeb Brown Promotions. I feel like maybe Billy Joe Shaver played in the Riverton or the Springfield area a couple of years ago.
I'm pretty sure he did, and because I'm pretty sure I had to miss it because I was on the road, and that was a bummer because I always admired him. Always liked.
And there was a point
always liked
in that period of time for him where I almost felt like he was going to make a comeback, and I'm like, he's going to get his due. And then he's an older fellow, so he's trying like, I don't have the time. Like, I'm past that in my life.
Yeah. Well, the video that they posted after he passed away, just thanking everybody that was his fan, in this humble house at a humble little kitchen table that has the melamite covering, not even like a real wood table, and he's just sitting there with his big knobby knuckles and hands, just thanking all of his fans. And you're like, well, but did he have any regrets? No, he made his living making music, and in small venues, he lived the dream.
Yeah,
sure, we all want to play stadiums, or at least theaters.
Yeah, speaking of stadiums,
and
the other guy that I was going to say is Bailey Zimmerman. I think he was a TikTok sensation, and now like he's touring with Morgan Wallen and opening up the shows and slaying it. And he'd made some kind of comment. They had some technical issues at one of the shows, and he said, "Hey, this is new to me. I've never done this before. I'm learning on the fly." A lot of you folks, like, you can look at it from both perspectives, where people feel like he didn't earn that position to kind of just jump into a stadium tour like that. But the guy's like, he's learning on the fly and making mistakes that make him look like a rookie sometimes. But he didn't get that experience that those other guys did, right? So the road dogs, he wasn't a road dog. He didn't get that experience, so he didn't learn, how to adjust fire. But anyway, he's killing it. He's doing his thing. As a musician, I don't hate that. But again, like you said, on the comedy side, you've got to have an act.
Yep. If you've got the act, it can't be denied. That's the thing. If you've got the act and you're making people laugh and you're selling tickets, that's all any of us want to do. And so anytime, if you're able to do that, then great. The rest of us are just jealous.
Yeah.
Was what it boils down to.
Speaking of jealousy, did you hear that this has nothing to do with jealousy, by the way? Did you hear that?
I thought you were going to talk about the Goo Goo Dolls for a second.
They found 170 pounds of cocaine. It was discovered in a man's house in Louisiana this weekend.
I knew Ron White was having a great retirement. I just didn't know how good.
Whoa! Apparently real good. Like $1 million street value good.
That's a lot of sleepless nights. That's a lot of reruns of Miami Vice. That's what that is. Good Lord. It's pure. Okay, thanks, Don Johnson. Thanks.
Cartels use submarines to move Colombian Bam Bam. Like, that's a normal thing for them. So for every bust, how many shipments of even higher value just go unnoticed or overlooked?
Well, and was that a decoy bust? Like, they were all busy getting this 200-pound haul of coke. Well, they're like, well, we all live in a bright white submarine because this is pure and not cut with anything else.
Oh man, it reminds me of Super Troopers when they're trying to save their jurisdiction or whatever it was. We need a bus, boys.
Super Troopers.
Love that show.
Yeah. If you like Super Troopers, watch Tacoma FD.
I've been watching a little bit of that.
Oh, I love it. I love Tacoma FD more than I do Super Troopers. I'll tell you. Yeah. Yep. I think Super Troopers is great as a classic, but Tacoma is just is I think their masterpiece.
Right on. Yeah, I'm only in the first season. I kept seeing it, and I'm like, all right, I like Super Troopers. I like Broken Lizard. I'm gonna dive in. So I think I'm in 5-6 episodes in season 1, but I plan to watch it all the way to whatever it is now.
Yeah,
Sure.
I don't even remember. We record it and then we watch it, and I don't know any live TV anymore. I just know when I look at the DVR and go, "Oh, I've got episodes."
Right. Well, let's announce our next comic in our series. Are you ready to do that?
Yes, let's do it. I'm beside myself.
Are you?
You want to do it? You want me to do it?
You want to do it?
You want me to say Matthew Broussard? It's Matthew Broussard.
Ta-da!
The man, the myth, the legend. Brilliant comic. Gosh, he check out anything he's done online. It's all out there. Also, I know your particular favorite is when he roasted John Mayer.
Oh, dude. That's really what sold me. Like, I wasn't taking no for an answer. They were like, I don't know if we could fit him in. And I'm like, well, he's coming. Like, I've already had him sign the contract, and it just was in crayon.
Like, right. I don't think that man does. He doesn't do anything in crayon. It's all calligraphy. That's what I see. But yeah, Matthew Broussard is going to be coming, and I can't wait for us to talk to him. I mean, he's here. You want to talk to Matthew Broussard, or we just want to tell the people about him?
Okay, let's talk. Let's talk to him.
Yeah, you know what? Let's talk to him.
Hey, folks. Here we are here with Matthew Broussard. Matthew, I understand that you hold a degree in computational mathematics. I don't know how I could even say that, but tell me about that.
Oh, yeah. Computational applied mathematics, now operations research. Is the name of that degree. I like math. I always liked math. That was just kind of the thing our family was into. It was the only thing I could really do academically. I was bad at reading. Writing was always laborious, and I always just found math very fun. And
that makes fun of it.
Yeah, it's very polarizing. People either really love it or really hate it, and there's not many people in between. People really get upset about it. People really hate it. I find that so strange. It's just like the most beautiful thing. It's the language of the universe. It's these truths that can be proven in every direction you want to prove it from. It's all correct and self-supporting. It's very neat.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just gonna let you go on and on about that for a second.
I could.
The first time.
Let's lose all the listeners right at the top of the episode. Let's have just click out 40 seconds in. That's exactly what we want.
And I'm sitting here, I'm like,
who needs a strong hook?
Yeah. The most interesting first question to ask our guest. It's got to be about computational mathematics, nothing else.
Yes. That's what give the people what they want. This is what they came for. They don't want escapism to a casual realm of taboo conversations. They want the nitty-gritty details that they get at their job every day.
Look,
when they do their taxes.
Let's give our listeners and viewers some credit that some of them are really into math. I can name like 12 that aren't, that are regulars that don't have enough fingers or toes to industrial accidents happen, diabetes, things, but that's fine. I just don't want to undersell our audience. Some people are really going to be into that.
That's fair.
Okay, so you have this degree. Is this what you wanted to go into, or is it like, I always wanted to be a comic, but I really love math as well?
I never wanted to be a comic. I never considered other routes, really.
Okay.
I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, but I knew math was very fun and that I had an advantage at it against other people, just for mostly for liking it and doing it, having done a lot of it. And I knew a degree using it would probably put me in a place where I have some options for good starting salaries.
Sure.
I think I went nonprofit originally and then quickly switched to finance. I didn't care for either of those. I would have loved to have taught math. I would have loved to have been an engineer or a coder or anything with, getting to use math. Most things getting to use math. Actuary sounds awful. And then I started doing stand-up, and that was fun too. And they're different, but there's a lot of similarities between just comedy as you posit a hypothesis. I think this is funny, and then I go say it, but who knows? Maybe someone sneezed, or maybe checks dropped during that joke, or maybe I got a word wrong, so you say it about 10 times, or sometimes just 3. If you go 3 times and it doesn't work, it's a bad idea, and you got to really revisit the joke. But if it's working consistently, then you start toying with the variables, and ultimately you have some hypothesis, you test it, you adjust it, and you end up with jokes. And it's a brutally iterative process, but
that's exactly.
That's it. You figured out
that's exactly my process and how I've always described it.
Yeah.
Exactly. In exact word. It's crazy. How close when I've described that. Mostly mine was I don't know. I try it 4 times, or it don't work, I just move on. But it's very simple.
Oh, you give it 4. Good for you.
I'm stubborn.
I give up the second night. Yeah. I keep doing it for years and don't change a thing and think, why hasn't it started working? Even though I've done nothing to fix it.
That's a failure on my part. Sometimes I'm just like, you know what, this is the joke that I keep in my back pocket to punish the audience if need be. If you're I like this joke, I don't care if you do.
Well, that is all of my math jokes are purely to punish the audience. So we've come full circle already.
I think you'd have found your retirement, your calling, though, because I'm sitting there and I was captivated. I'm like, this guy would make a great teacher.
I love it. I still tutor a little bit. It's okay. Love it. It's so fun if I have good students. Yeah.
All right.
I wish I loved math like that. I was the opposite. I was the as I sit here and stutter and stumble over my words, I was give me writing all day long. Math frightened and confused me. So
you read as well?
Yeah.
You like it? How fast can you finish a book? How many books do you read a month?
Recently, this year, I've been a poor reader. I've only read like 2 books this year, but like in prior years, especially during, when we had a little bit of break and I wasn't traveling and on the road, I was doing, at least 2 books a month.
That's fantastic. That's a lot.
But it depends on, what I'm reading. It always depends on the assignment. Sometimes things are a slog.
Yes.
But sometimes I'm just like, I have this bad habit of I'll read the beginning of the paragraph, the middle of the paragraph, the end of the paragraph, then move on because I've filled in everything else. and then I have to go back and reread and go, oh yeah, well I got it already. So, I just move on. But
yeah, that's cool. So focus all of it. Yeah, I don't have the concentration. Brandon, do you read much?
Currently in a master's program, so that's the detail in my reading is focusing on what I've got on my plate with my master's program. Outside of that, I'm an audiobook guy.
What is your master's program?
I'm going through an MBA at the University of Dayton in Ohio.
Oh, nice. That's so cool. Yeah, I'm sure that's a lot of reading. I'm guessing you don't get to do any required reading.
Yeah, just purely I'm pretty burnt out by that point in time once I get all my studies done. But appreciate you asking that. Hey, You know what? I checked out a recent interview of yours, and Larry is probably going to take this the wrong way, but you stated that your non-comedian friends are funnier than your comedian friends. So my question is a 2-parter here. After knowing each other for 5 to 7 minutes, 1, do you think you and I could be friends? And if so, on the friend scale, would you categorize us best friends, drinking buddies, or last resort?
What about a picnic bros where we go to picnics together?
That was actually my 4th unspoken answer, and you nailed
picnic
it.
Bros, that's the level. That's the level I have. Yeah.
Picnic
or call twice a week and bitch about comedy bros. Those are my best friends. Just people that I have 40-minute phone calls with twice a week about. You see who they got for this? You see who they gave that to that guy? Oh,
that's so refreshing. I love to hear that other people do that too. But I'm
all I do.
Dude, I have a friend.
And
That's all we like. We don't know each other outside of just bitching and moaning about comedy. It's
Yes.
just, and we look forward to the 2-hour text exchange that we have once a week with each other, and we're like, all right, well, we'll have more to talk about next week.
Yep.
But I'm with you. Most of my non-comedy friends are funnier than my comic friends.
Because they're not complaining and wallowing in self-pity.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and they're also just in the moment. They're just quick in the moment. Whereas
Yes.
I find myself
Silly.
doing it. And I hate it, but I'll say something funny or I'll hear something funny and be like, oh, okay, well, how do I twist it? Let me put this in my phone real quick. And now I've interrupted.
Connect the ideas, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I like that other people have friends that are funnier than their comedian friends.
Yeah.
I've had non-comedian friends who are like, I'm going to try the open mic tonight. And I'm like, I will be there to support you and then to pick you up off the floor and sweep your parts back together. God love you,
Mhm.
you precious little soldier.
You ever have a friend start comedy and you're like, hey, just warning you, our friendship will never be the same again once you pick up that microphone.
Yes.
Everything changes.
Yeah.
For a year, I'm going to treat you really weird. For a year, like, I can't really be around you because you're going to be emotionally exhausting to me in a way that you can't help. But yeah, it's going to be.
Yeah, remember when we used to talk about real things and now all you talk to me about is joke structure? Can we not do that? Let's
or how to get booked.
Yes.
Or what do we do? How do I skip open mics? How do I can I just go? Can I skip that part?
Is that
It's
your
really
favorite
funny.
question?
It's really funny that you mentioned that, Matthew, because Larry and I were actually talking about that right before you popped on, about the booking and the business side of comedy. And I'm a musician, so I get it from the other kind of another spectrum. So we were actually talking about making that connection, that personal connection, rather than just firing out an email, doing the best you can to somehow connect with whoever it is, the talent buyer or the owner of the establishment. And that's a challenge sometimes.
It's a lot of work. I waste far too much
about
energy thinking about it.
Yeah.
I was bitching about comedy right before you logged. That's why I got real quiet. I was like, I can't let him hear me be weak. So try this again. Are you working up to a new special coming up?
Yeah, I'm ready to film something probably in the next 2 months. It's been a long time, and I just want to I've done a lot of stuff in smaller portions, and I kind of want to put it together because I feel like it clicks together, plus some, obviously some stuff that's not out there. But I have, it took a long time, but I have like 70 or 80 minutes that I've been mostly cycling in and out. And I don't know if I'll do 40. I don't know if I'll do 60, but I just need to put it out there, cut it up into clips, and really retire some of the stuff I'm saying on stage, and really give myself the motivation to start talking about new things, and maybe even give myself an excuse to kind of move on with my life. There's a really pathetic thing I think comics and artists do, which is just kind of live in some kind of squalor or state of suspended animation emotionally and maturity wise, and you think, oh, it's good for my bits to be having roommates or being broke or not being out of shape or not taking that next step, whatever it is. And I think that's what the song Graduate was about by Third Eye Blind. But yeah, I'd like to fucking be an adult now. I'm 35. I should step up.
Right on.
It's a trap. Don't adulthood. It's a trap. It's a racket.
Larry led you into a good piece about the special, and it kind of makes me wonder from your perspective. So I've been a fan of comedy for years. I attend a lot of shows. But when I purchase a ticket, I make a conscious effort to avoid watching any clips of the artists that I plan to go see soon, because I feel like I don't want to ruin the surprise. Is that weird? Or is that kind of par for the course? Because music is completely different. I'll listen to an album all the way to the show, and then I'll watch the musician perform that album, and I will be 100% still excited to be there. For me, comedy as a consumer is a little different.
Yeah. I've met people who do what you do. It's nice for me as a performer because I don't have to worry. But I also, yeah, I would like to not be repeating stuff. I can't always keep it all new. If the crowd's bad, I have to pull out the hits. I try to, as soon as I put things on my Instagram page, I try to retire them for the most part, unless maybe like a quick liner here, or there that sets up something that's more expanded now. But yeah, I mean, musicians, it's a gift and a curse that you have 2 good albums in your set, but then you are stuck playing those songs. I genuinely feel so bad for Tom DeLonge and Mark Hoppus that they have to channel their 15-year-old heartbreak every night. They're in their 50s. They have PTA meetings. They have prostate exams on their calendar. And they're talking about a girl who's not even a girl anymore. They're talking about a menopausal woman who broke their heart in 1989. Like that, how do you think like it's what a nightmare where is a comic of like, yeah, you have to write new stuff, but you get to do new stuff, and you also as a comic you get to improve for 20-30 years. Usually no one's really that funny in their 20s, just minus like Mulaney at 29, and I guess Eddie Murphy was funny in his 20s, but there's no real great pieces of comedy long form from people in their 20s. A lot of good stuff in their 30s, 40s, and even 50s. Great comics in their 50s, but probably even some people in their 60s who are really just knocking it out. So you get decades of steady improvement. Whereas, unfortunately, as a musician, you write your best shit at 23, and then you're forever just doing a bad impression of yourself. What a nightmare! What an awful. Oof. I hate 23-year-olds. I hate them so much. You ever see a 23-year-old? They come to shows, they're drinking on the street, and you're like, every song I've written is by that piece of shit. Just some like 23-year-old who hasn't experienced life yet, who feels too many emotions about unimportant things, and that's who every song I sing along to is written by that person.
That's
I did a gig this past Saturday where ticket sales weren't great, but it was going to be a fun-sized crowd. It was a fun-sized crowd, and then right at the end, had a group of about 10 come in. We're like, all right, that's really going to round out this crowd, and then turned out it was a birthday party for a 22-year-old female, and one of the other audience members and her husband, as I was walking past the house manager, just heard me go, and they were like, "That's something wrong?" And I'm like, "No, nothing. Happy they're here. She's got a tiara and a sash. This will be wonderful. It'll be a great night." Because 22 is not a real person. You're not a real person.
No.
And I spent.
No, but they think they are.
Yeah, and I spent 10
that
minutes.
That evening is about them too. That totally changes the feel of that room.
I was on crowd control all that.
You compare and contrast comedians versus musicians, and when I see a bachelorette party in Matthew, I performed in many bands, but I was in a hair cover band, so I wore the hair, the tight pants, and I did all the Motley Crue and the Guns N' Roses and stuff. So when we saw bachelorette parties, that was our bread and butter. Like, we knew that they'd be there for hours dancing all night long. Obviously, when you see a bachelorette party walk into a comedy show, it's going to be loud, it's probably going to be obnoxious, and it's going to be very challenging to keep, your set straight.
Yeah, what a nightmare. And some people have accrued an entire fan base of that in comedy. That doesn't sound very fun.
Yeah, it does not.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
So I ask a lot of the comics the same question, because while yes, I do get paid to tell jokes, I'm a fan of the process. I'm a fan of comedy. You were talking about it's you've built up to this new recording that you're about to do or looking to do, and you've got material that you're working in and out. By the time you get to it, will you be so sick and tired of those jokes? Because I know I have a problem where I'll tell jokes for about a year to a year and a half. I'll work on them. I'll move them around. They're never done. But then I just hit a point where I'm like, I can't tell this story again. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm so bored with it. And the audience has to be even though this is the first time hearing it, they have to be able to tell.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that way about a lot of my material right now, where it's just autopilot, and I probably should have put out something right before the pandemic, and I didn't, and now I have to kind of restructure what I want to do. So yeah, I have a lot of material like that, but I don't want to let go of anything. I just want to keep every joke that's worked. I want to have, you know, some version of it out there, or works in is good. But the autopilot, I will say, if I shelve a joke for a while and then bring it back, I can start liking it again. There's 10 minutes I recorded recently, and I haven't done it in a year or so, or I guess, but I recorded it about a year ago and stopped doing it, and started telling it again recently just to get the muscle memory down to maybe record it one more time as part of a longer thing. And I was like, oh, I like telling this again. I put a lot of work into all of the words, and it pays off at a lot of little moments and keeps the crowd interested, and it's fun to perform. So it's hard when you're doing like an hour a lot, for me at least, because an hour I kind of have to do most of my jokes, or I definitely have to do most of my jokes. So that's annoying, because there's always material you don't like in a long set. There's always material you don't like in a medium set. I'm jealous of those people who can turn it over as fast as they lose interest. Those are the people who are really brilliant. The Joe Lists and the Louis C.K.'s of the world can just pump out highly refined material.
So as I'm listening to you, Matthew, and I know, like I said, we have a schedule to keep, but as I'm listening to you, I am curious to know, again, another two-parter, does comedy come natural to you? And if it doesn't, is the reason why you are so interested is because it is a challenge for you? Because like the math comes natural, it's easy to you, it's not for me. So I always wonder, from an artist perspective.
I think the latter. It's never come. I've had, for some reason, what I look like and my voice, it was always enough to get people's attention. And if I had a joke, then I could keep their attention. And I like writing jokes. I don't know how to like just think of something and have it work immediately. It's a lot of grasping around in the dark. I'm not like a funny guy. I watch comics who go on stage and people are laughing before they start talking. They're goofy looking and goofy moving, and their voice is weird and funny. I don't have all those things. Without jokes, I'm not particularly interesting to watch, at least in a comedy setting. So I do like that challenge of, I need jokes and I need a lot of them, and there is no mass production method for jokes, and I think jokes need to be surprising and unpredictable. They can't fall into rhythms, they can't fall into patterns. So you need to constantly be thinking in new ways and coming up with new strategies. I haven't found any kind of algorithm that just creates material. It's always that much harder to write the next joke.
Sure.
Well, and I will say from my perspective, and this is, I don't say this lightly, and it doesn't come out easily. Anytime I've ever seen you perform, you make it look easy.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Obviously I've seen you on the roast battle when they were putting those out there. Always brilliant on those, always funny. Your specials, anytime I've seen anything that you've put out, I'm just like, this guy, it looks like it comes naturally and easily for you. So
thank you. It's not the case. Like every joke feels like a miracle. Like every joke I have feels like, thank God I found that. I don't know what I would have done without that. Awesome. I have no replacement for that. It feels like I built something out of Legos, and someone goes, "That's nice." I go, "Yeah, I had to hand carve every piece. I know it looks like I just fit it all together, but I sculpted every little one because I didn't have real Legos. Like every little part of that. There's like a line every now and then. We're like, oh, well, that wasn't too hard to figure out, but like so much of it is like, so many jokes I have. I remember the first iteration being like, "There's no laughs in that. That has to be a funny concept." and I got no laughs out of it. And then the bigger jokes I have, like the solid ones, the longer ones, talking like 2 to 3 minutes, those that within like one narrow range, you probably see 1/3 of the punchlines that worked, not just that were, but just of all the jokes that actually worked in the process and that just didn't fit or weren't big enough laughs or were cheesy or betrayed the premise, get tossed out. So you see about 1/3 of everything that went into that. And then ideas wise, everything I tried is 100 times bigger, 10 to 100 times bigger than that, of all the ideas that circled around and didn't make it to the final product. So it's so hard. I guess that difficulty keeps me interested, Brandon. So
that's awesome.
Solid question. Is there anything with that with music?
Say again.
Is there a similar thing with music? Do you find interest in how challenging it is to write music and come up with new ideas and new sounds and not sound like things you've already heard, but still 100%. Sound good?
So I wasn't a big hair. So I'm 41. So we're not too far away in age, you and I.
No.
But I was not overly interested when I got asked to take part in this hair cover band. That wasn't my thing, my genre. I was a heavy metal, hard rock guy. My friends were the ones in the band, and then I started listening. I went back and I started listening to some catalogs, and I said, holy shit, that's challenging. You know, Journey, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, the Poison stuff wasn't too crazy. Skid Row, those are tough musicians to emulate, and that's ultimately why I did it. And then the first couple gigs, I wake up the next morning after a 4-hour show and I can't talk at all. So I ended up getting a little bit more vocal help to learn how to support the 4-hour shows. But yeah, ultimately that's what keeps me intrigued and interested in music. It's just the constant effort you have to put forth to continuously get better, for sure.
Who's your favorite guitarist? Are you a guitarist, I take it?
I'm a vocalist, but believe it or not, so I feel like I'm a broken record because we do these. I think you're 6th or 7th artist in our series coming up, but I actually am deployed right now, so I have a guitar here with me, and I've never had the patience to learn to play and sing at the same time. So while I'm here, I picked up an acoustic guitar, and I've been able to learn how to play and sing at the same time. But back to your question.
Yeah.
On your favorite guitarist, it would be Steve Vai, hands down.
Who is that?
Blues guy.
Okay. Who's your favorite vocalist?
I'm sorry, not Steve. Steve Vai is a shredder. I meant Stevie Ray Vaughan. Wow. Stevie Ray Vaughan is what I meant to say. I don't know why I'm thinking Steve Vai, because I'm thinking super shredder, but Stevie Ray Vaughan is who I meant to say. But Stevie Ray Vaughan I actually have a painting of him hanging up in my house.
Who's your favorite vocalist?
That's a real challenge for me to
Or
answer
favorites. You don't have to name all of them.
I'm a big Tool fan. I think Maynard's awesome. I think Chris Stapleton has a very soulful voice. Tyler Childers. I've got like a laundry list.
Oh, I love Tyler.
Yeah.
Tyler's got a great voice.
Great storyteller.
He's a good lyricist. I couldn't tell his similar thing with a band called Trampled by Turtles as well, where I couldn't tell if it was a live performing or the music video, because it was such a perfect performance that I was like, is that a lip sync over the actual like master recording, or is that actually recorded in real time?
Right.
Childers is great. That whole scene, thank God was Oliver Anthony. I feel like he's going to shine a light on the bluegrass that has been making up for what country has been lacking on the mainstream
100%.
scene for a long time. And it's another one of those lessons in, we attack the medium as being trite or less artistic just because it is represented by bad artists. The example is like, for me, it's like you say puppet comedy is bad. Like, no, you just haven't seen a good puppet comic. There's nothing that says you can't be a great puppet comic and be like a brilliant comic and a refreshing act.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, hey Larry, forgot you were there.
I know when to shut the hell up.
Good.
Where are you deployed?
I'm in the Middle East.
Wow. Are you allowed to say what country?
I'm in the Middle East.
Don't let him lie. Look where he is. He's in a goddamn dorm room somewhere in the Midwest is where he is. He wants to come off as some type of hero. Oh, I run 3 businesses and I'm deployed and I play guitar. You're just like every dude that played guitar in college. You're just lying to all the women that are watching our show and really just look, he's not.
What a great segue, Larry. It's like you led me right into my last question for Matthew, and I could be walking on eggshells here, but how good did it feel to roast John Mayer?
Very good. Very, very good. Very nice. I love and hate the guy. I think what I said is how I feel about him is that he did something that I really admired in comedians at that time as a young man, and still think is pretty cool, is he could tell jokes without trying to lie about his high status. He didn't try to make up things like I have trouble talking to women, or I'm a loser and I'm antisocial. He was genuinely like, I'm charming, I'm famous, I'm rich, I have sex with a lot of celebrities, and he still found ways to make that funny, which is just impressive because those things all make comedy more challenging, especially in his case, because we know all these things about him. So he would do these jokes that I thought were really impressive given where he's coming from. We like to see a clown. We like to see someone of low status. It makes us feel better about ourselves. Right. I thought that was neat. And I didn't really have much as it looked like that whole thing was fairly planned out. It wasn't really something talked about until I think I was going out on stage and they were about to bring me out, and I let someone know, I was like, oh, I hope I get a chance to roast John Mayer. I have a couple jokes in my back pocket. And awesome. He grabbed a walkie-talkie. It was Brian Moses. He goes, yeah, Jeff, Matt has some John jokes. And I was like, oh, and they brought me out and they stopped the whole show to get me to talk to John, which was nerve-wracking because I was like, well, I better hit a punchline. This better go somewhere.
Oh, man.
That was cool.
He looked legitimately upset. And I'm like, oh.
I think he took the first part he didn't like very much because who the fuck was I to mouth off right out the gate. And then I think the second joke about how he's had sex with a lot of beautiful women, he took that one on the chin. What a gracious, humble man for me to note all the beautiful women he's had sex with. And him was like, wow, you really got me with that one, Matt. Wow. The gloves are off.
Well, golly, I guess that one hurts.
Gosh darn it. Right in my soft spot.
Let me go home and look at the album of Polaroids that I've kept of all of these beautiful things.
Well, Matthew,
makes great songs to get fingered to.
I've always said that. I'm glad somebody else agrees. My wife, not so much. But I've always thought.
No.
I mean, the first time my uncle did it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Larry, you got anything else for Matthew before we let him head out for the day?
No, we'll let him escape. I could sit and talk. I'll sit and talk shop all day. So.
Yeah, likewise.
Well, I see you all in Illinois. Is that where this is?
Yep, we'll be in Monticello, Illinois, November 30th through December 2nd. I will not be home yet, unfortunately, but I will make it a point to catch you if you're back in the Midwest next in 2024 for sure.
Hell yeah,
for sure. That's kind of my thing that I've been booking all this talent that I want to see too. Selfishly, I'm like, man, it sucks that I'm gonna miss these. But I've also just put it in the back of my mind that if you end up in the Midwest somewhere within an 8-hour radius, I'll probably be shooting you an email saying, hey, I'm on my way.
Let's do it. Look forward to seeing you there. Thank you for your service.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Well, you enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will look forward to your show November 30th through December 2nd at 3 Squared Coffee and Events. Thanks, Matthew.
Thank you.
Daddy said he's gonna wet my ass if he ever catches me smoking that grass so loaded.